Hello and welcome to this Introduction to English lesson by the British Online School. My name is Dr. Rebecca Try and I will be leading you through this lesson. This lesson should be used in conjunction with the PowerPoint available online, as well as the worksheet and answer sheet, which will help you work through the lesson. This lesson is designed as an introduction to English for Year 7 students who are just starting out their English secondary school experience. So with that being said, let's get started. This week, we're going to focus on the week as a series of lessons. So there are going to be 3 lessons available to start with. And over the course of these 3 lessons, we're going to have some key learning objectives. So our first one of these will be learning how to communicate clearly, effectively, and imaginatively in writing and in speech. Our next will be to be able to identify and interpret explicit and implicit information and ideas. Now, the reason we're doing this is so that we are able to then write in a variety of sentences using full stops and capital letters, and to organise our writing into paragraphs using a range of connectives. Doing all these things will help us to improve our English skills and to become more successful writers and readers. So our first task for this lesson will be to create a mind map, thinking about what we might do in English over the course of the year. What kind of things do we need to learn? What will it be about? What do you remember from primary school? Okay, so make a mind map with lots of different ideas, anything you think of when you think about English lessons. Okay, so this could be English language. It could be English literature. All right, those might be 2 things you put on your mind map. Now, I want you to make sure that you are using the correct spelling, punctuation, and grammar when you are making this mind map, okay? You can either do this on paper on your own, or you can use the worksheets that has been provided along with this video to work through it. But what I would like you to do now is to pause the video and spend 5 minutes working on this task. Okay, so pause the video now and then come back to it. Welcome back. Hopefully you should now have a brilliant mind map created on your worksheet or on your own, and with lots of different ideas. Now, normally in a school session, in a classroom, or on an online classroom, what we would do is we would share everybody's ideas and work together to build up a mind map of our own. As we're doing this on our own independently, what I've done is made an example mind map. Now, when I show this to you, what I want you to do is to add to your mind map with any ideas that you might not already have. When you are adding to your mind map, make sure that you're adding it in a different colour so that you can see where you've been working together with other people to improve your ideas and get more ideas flowing. All right, so here are the ideas I came up with. Quite a few of them. Perhaps unsurprising because I am an English teacher. But let's start at the top. Understanding the news. Now, understanding the news is one of the most important things that I think that we learn in English. Okay, so we learn how to understand news articles, we learn how to understand what's happening in the world around us, how to interpret other people's opinions as well. And that's one of the key skills that we get through learning English, through reading literature. Of course, we also do a little bit of learning about spelling, punctuation, and grammar, which isn't always the most fun, but is really essential in your future life and your future career. Poetry is something you might have studied a little bit at primary school and something that we come back to throughout English, all the way up to GCSE and A-level. Writing is a really key part of English, whether that's writing a letter, writing a CV, or writing a best-selling novel. Either way, that's something that we're going to learn in English, learn how to write, how to structure our writing. And it's a really key skill that we're going to come out with at the end. Learning empathy. Now, for those of you who don't know what empathy is the ability to understand people's emotions, to understand where they're coming from, to understand how other people are feeling. Now, this is something that is quite almost a hidden skill in English, but it's something that we learn really effectively through reading literature, through talking to other people, through getting a better understanding of English. Now, Shakespeare, I've thrown him on here as kind of a stand-in for all the big writers throughout history, because he is one of the main ones that we do study in English. But we also look at people like Chaucer, who was a medieval writer, modern writers such as Angie Thomas or Andrea Levy, and 19th century authors such as like Charles Dickens and things like that. So you're going to look at lots of different authors throughout English and also come up with find out a lot of different opinions. Okay, so the opinions of people that people might have had in Shakespeare's time in the 17th century or in Dickens's time in the 19th century are going to be very different from the ideas that we have today, but still have some of the same roots. And that's something that we learn and we discuss in English. Now, this last one, reading a lot of books. It is something we do in English. We do a lot of reading. And we're going to be thinking about and focusing on reading in today's lesson. So with that being said, pause the video now, spend a couple of minutes maybe adding to your mind map, coming up with some different ideas, and I will see you on the next slide. So, one of the core parts of English is reading, and that's something that we're going to be thinking about today. Now, our next task you might need another person for, or an animal, or a stuffed toy, or a wall. The main thing is I want you to talk through your ideas. Okay, so talking out loud. Obviously in a classroom, we'd probably be talking to the people next to us or talking to the teacher, getting some ideas flowing. But talking your ideas through, even when you're not talking to another person, is really helpful for developing your understanding of something. Okay, I often found when I was revising for my exams, I would explain things to myself over and over again, and it actually meant I understood it a lot better. So that's why we're focusing now on talking through this. So what I want you to do is to have a chat with someone at home, or your cat, or a stuffed toy, or a wall, about why reading is important, okay? And then write a sentence explaining why you think reading is important. You can use the starter sentence below to help you. So if you're stuck, then start your sentence with, reading is incredibly important because, all right? Now, with these sentences, I want you to have a proper think and answer sensibly. So not just reading is incredibly important because we have to do it in English, or reading is incredibly important because books are good. Okay, think about what we've just talked about in terms of the mind map. Why do we read? What do we learn when we read? Okay, so pause the video now, spend a couple of minutes talking to somebody or talking to the wall, talking to yourself, that's fine, and come up with a sentence, okay? So you should be writing this on the worksheet or on a piece of paper, depending on how you are working through this. So pause the video now and take a couple of minutes to answer this. Welcome back. Hopefully you now have a sentence talking about how wonderful reading is. Okay, so you might have written down something like, reading is incredibly important because it teaches us about empathy, or reading is incredibly important because it helps us to understand different things that are happening in the world. All right, hopefully you've come up with something good there. If not, that's fine. The whole point of lessons and English is to learn. Okay, so we're going to learn from the things that we've done and move forward. So the next thing I want you to do is, again, thinking about reading. Think about your favourite book, okay? It can be one of the ones below. So here we've got some pictures from Jacqueline Wilson. We've got Percy Jackson or Diary of a Wimpy Kid, okay? So I want you to think about your favourite book. If you don't have a favourite book, that's fine, okay? Think about a book you read in primary school or something you maybe read with your parents or carers. If you're really stuck, and you could think of a book that's been turned into a movie and think about and use that as your example. So what I would like you to do is to spend 5 minutes in a minute making a mind map. Okay, so we're making a couple of mind maps today, but that's fine. Now write the title of your favourite book in the middle. So if it was my favourite book, it would be called City of Masks. Okay, and I'd write that in the middle of my page. And then I'd make a mind map with all the reasons I like it going all the way around. Now this is going to be helping you in a minute. We're going to be using this work to write a book review. Okay, so when you are doing this, I want you to be thinking about sensible reasons, sensible things that you think about your favourite book, and go from there. So pause the video now and spend 5 minutes making your mind map, and I will see you in 5. Okay, hopefully you now have a fantastic mind map in front of you with all the ideas that you have about why you like the book. So what we're going to be doing with this, as I said earlier, is we're going to be creating a book review. So what is a book review? I'm going to try and move a little bit further back so that I'm out of the way. There we go. Hopefully you can still hear me. I've made my voice a bit louder now. So what is a book review? A book review is a piece of writing that is designed to tell a prospective reader, so someone who might read the book, a little bit about it. Book reviews can either be positive or negative, okay, but we're going to be focusing today on writing positive reviews, okay. Book reviews should include these 4 things, okay, and we're going to be talking about them as success criteria in this lesson. All right, so they should include the reason the reviewer liked it in the first place, how does the story hook the reader in, what character or characters they liked and why. So they might say, my favourite character was, or I really liked so-and-so character because. They need to then focus on either a really good or a really bad bit of the book. So with our one, we're trying to focus on good bits of the book, but specifically spoiler-free, okay? So you want to think about not including any spoilers, but still saying why you think it was good or bad. So you could say, at the beginning of this book, this character wakes up late for school, which isn't a spoiler, but that I thought that the focus on his anxiety and on the problems that might come from it was really interesting and helped hook the reader in. Okay, so that might be something you might want to say. Then finally, a recommendation. Why should somebody else read it? Okay, so you could do that as, you should read this because it's a fantastic book. Or if you want to challenge yourself a little bit, you could say, you should read this if you liked other books like da 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 da, and then give a few examples. And then you can think about other books you like as well that link to this book. And all these things combine together to make a book review. So before you go and write your own, what we're going to have a look at is an example book review. Okay, so this is my book review of my favourite book of all time, which is called Stravaganza, City of Masks. Now, I got this book for my 10th birthday, very long time ago now, and it's still my favourite book. And here is the book review I wrote about it. So whilst I'm reading it out to you, I want you to think about those success criteria that we looked at before. So, have I got the reason that I liked it? How it hooks the reader. Have I thought about which characters I like? Have I told you which characters I like? Have I focused on a really good or really bad bit of the book? Are there spoilers? And have I included a recommendation? Okay, because in a minute you're going to independently be analysing this review and marking it against the success criteria. Okay, so here is the review. One of my favourite books is City of Masks by Mary Hoffman. I loved this book from the moment I started reading it, as the story hooks you in right away. The main character, Lucien, is thrown into a magical historical place called Bellezza, and as a reader, you want to know what happens to him. My favourite character is Ariana, a girl that Lucien meets in Bellezza. Ariana is both feisty and brave, and you get the feeling she will have an adventurous life. One of the most exciting parts of the book is when Lucien wakes up in Bellezza for the first time, and this is an excellent part for the reader as the description is so vivid that you really feel like that you are there. I would recommend this book to other readers as it tells a magical story and presents interesting and likeable characters. Okay, so there is our first review. What I want you to do now is to spend a few minutes completing the task at the top of the slide. So, spend some time on your own, either working from the PowerPoint or working on the worksheet, okay? And I want you to label this review with the features that have been used. So think about those 4 success criteria, label it where you see it, all right? And then think about, have I included all the features of a book review? So you might be looking for, have I included why the book is interesting? Have I included talking about my favourite character? Have I got a recommendation in there? So I want you to find those things and label them. I'd say you could probably do this in about 3 minutes. So pause the video, set yourself a 3-minute timer, and off you go. Welcome back. Hopefully you should now have finished analysing this book review. Now you might have picked up that at the beginning I tell you what my favourite book is. I tell you a little bit about how it hooks the reader in. Okay, I then talk about my favourite character, which is the second part of the success criteria. Third part of the success criteria I focus on in the third paragraph. I talk about one of the most exciting parts of the books, and I make sure that it doesn't have any spoilers. Finally, I end on a recommendation. Okay, so that means that this book review contains all the features, all the successful features of a book review, and would therefore get some quite good marks. Also means that I want you to be aiming to make yours as good, if not better, than this one when you write yours in a minute. So, writing your book review. What I expect you to do is to use the favourite book that you created a mind map on earlier, okay? And then write a review of why you love that book. Now, this should take about 15 minutes, so make sure you don't rush yourself. I want you to make sure that you include all those 4 parts of the success criteria. So, why you liked it in the first place, how it hooks in the reader, what's the beginning like? Then think about what characters you liked in the book, and why you liked them. Then you need to think about a part of the book that you love. Make sure that you talk about it without giving away too many spoilers. Finally, sum up your review with a recommendation. Why should somebody else read it? Now give yourself 15 minutes, that's 15 minutes, to focus on writing this review. Once you're finished, what I want you to do is to go back and have a look through and highlight every time you've used one of the success criteria. If you haven't used the success criteria, then take a minute and add it in another coloured pen, okay, or in another colour if you're working on the computer. So pause the video now and spend 15 minutes writing your review, and then a couple of minutes going through and double checking that you have included the success criteria. Good luck! Hello, welcome back. Hopefully you've just finished what I'm sure is going to have been a fantastic book review. Okay, maybe you could even post that book review on a website like Goodreads, which is a place you post book reviews of your favourite books. Now, as we finish it off, we're going to do a little post-it note plenary. So I want you to jot down either on a post-it note or on the PowerPoint or a worksheet, or on just a scrap of paper that you've got in front of you. That is fine. So without looking back at the previous slides, write down the 4 features of a book review, okay? So write them on the post-it note. If you get stuck and you can't quite remember, then you can have a look back, okay? Remember to make sure that you write anything that you double check with a different colour so that you can see that you did that with help, okay? So spend a couple of minutes doing that, and then you're done with this week's lesson. Well done. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully you now know how to write a fantastic book review, and you know all the important bits about English. So I'm looking forward to seeing you in a future lesson, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.